Hey guys, I just wanted to shoot a quick video since last night I didn't get to do a proper live match reaction. I've had a few hours to really think about this game. So here are some of my thoughts, some of which I already said last night, but here's some extra ones as well. So first off, I want to start off by saying that this was not a Champions League worthy game at all, guys. These were two teams that you could really tell that they were struggling in the league. Napoli, especially in the first half, in the first 20 minutes, not very good on the ball. The ball really did seem like a bit of a hot potato. Obviously very scared, very insecure, another change of manager. But over the course of the game, especially after the second half, you could tell that they were growing in confidence. And that's also down to them starting to believe a bit more in Calzona. They could see that whatever he told them to do, 10 minutes went by, 20 minutes went by, 30 minutes went by, 40 minutes went by, that Barcelona was really not putting Napoli under that much pressure. And so the confidence in themselves and in the manager and in the squad really grew. And in the end, Barcelona only had 0.7 XG, expected goals, in this game, which is the lowest of their season. So you could say that maybe this wasn't a great game by Napoli, maybe offensively, but at least on a defensive front, we held Barcelona better than any other team did this year. And it goes back to what I was saying in my Calzona introductory video, that he really is a master of the defensive line, of the defensive shape. And you could tell that even after just 2 days of working together, this team managed to stop such a prolific attack, the one that Barcelona has. Having said that, guys, we really suffered Pedri going from the left wing position to the number 10, which is how the Barcelona goal started, because it forced Rachman to step out of line, and then it opened up the space between Di Lorenzo and Juan Jesus. We need someone there that covers Pedri a bit better. Unfortunately, Cajuste did not do the job very well. He was kind of stuck always in between different positions. He is a player that we really need to evaluate whether or not we keep for next season, whether it's worth growing him within the Napoli team, or whether it's best to loan him out or even sell him while he's still young, because he showed too little this season. And again, against Barcelona, didn't do enough, neither defensively to help the defense out or offensively. And you could really tell when Traoré came on that we just had a much better equilibrium, because now, even though we lost a more defensive player in Cajuste, at least the team knew that if you gave the ball to Traoré, he could make something happen in the attack. And that really helped Napoli out. In terms of the substitution of Kvara with Lindstrom, a lot of people on social media have gone down the path of comparing it to the substitution of Kvara and Zerbin that Garcia made, which was really the start of, I think, the overwhelming majority of people starting to get frustrated with Garcia. In this case, guys, it's a little bit different, because one thing is bringing on Lindstrom, another thing is bringing on Zerbin. There's different levels to this. I think we can all agree that when you bring on Lindstrom, it's at least a more sensible substitution, not just because of the name Lindstrom is better than the name Zerbin, but Lindstrom has actually shown in recent weeks that he's on the rise. He helped Napoli score recent goals in the Serie A. He is a player that is used to certain matches. He won the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt as a protagonist. He's been in the round of 16 before last season, notably against Napoli with his former team. So this is a guy that has a lot more weight than Zerbin. I think what Calzona showed is that this is a team game. He wants to use the depth of this team. He believes in all 23 players. And I think that's super important on his first game in such a big game, not to just be scared and keep the same 11 for 80 minutes. Making those kind of tough substitutions shows everybody on the team that everybody is valued, that he does see all 23 players in the squad as having a chance to play. And I think that raises the level in training. I'm sure, though, that if Kvara was playing at his very, very best yesterday, then he would have stayed on. Much like how, for example, Calzona said that Politano stayed on. Now, a lot of you guys can argue whether the fact he played better or worse than Kvara, but what Calzona is saying is that compared to his relative level, Politano was playing better. There's also the fact that whilst Lindstrom is the natural replacement for Kvara, we don't really have a natural replacement for Politano down the right. In fact, he put Raspadori on in the right, and we know that Raspadori is not a right winger. But Calzona also mentioned the fact that Politano was really good in defending, and he wants everybody to defend. He said it even before the game. He says, I want to see all 11 players help out the team defensively. And I've always said, even last season, 2 years ago, when people were comparing Lozano and Politano, I said Politano does give you a little bit more defensively. And so especially when you start to bring on guys like Traoré, so you lose a defensive midfielder like Cayusta and you bring a more attacking midfielder like Traoré, then having Politano on the field a bit longer could really help you out. Hey guys, quick thing on Osimhen as well, just post-production. A lot of you guys are wondering why he got substituted. It's clearly because he doesn't have the full 90 minutes in him, not for anything else. He didn't play against Genoa before this match, so it's clear that he only had 60-70 minutes in him, and the fact that he was caught a few times offside in the first half just goes to show that he's not quite match sharp yet. So nothing to worry about. He's coming back. Hopefully in the second leg he's going to be fully fit, and I'm sure that's going to be the case. I also really like the fact that Napoli played from the back, or at least tried to play from the back a lot of times. It wasn't so smooth. As we said, guys, this was a bit of a hot potato situation with the ball yesterday, especially in the first half, where you could really see which players suffered the occasion. But they went in there with a specific game plan of let's at least try to play from the back. They really stuck to what Calzona wanted them to do. Remember, this is a team that was scared to play from the back, that was hoofing the ball up with Mazzarri. Calzona is more of a Sarri type of mentality where he wants the ball to be played on the ground, played from the back. It's going to take time for these players to build up that confidence again. And he even talked about it in the press conference, saying we need to still learn how to do this properly, even just from the body language of the players, how to receive the ball, how to turn the ball. He was talking about all these little details, which is, for me, crazy to think that these players have forgotten how to do certain things. But Calzona is a master in this, and I think that in 3 weeks' time, Napoli do have a better chance of improving from this level than Barcelona does. I think in Barcelona, we are going to see a very similar type of Barcelona. This is the Barcelona of this season. I don't think it's going to change much in 3 weeks. Whereas this Napoli team at this level can potentially make a step forward with Calzona, with a bit more confidence, with better fluidity playing from the back. And let's see if we get a guy like Traoré to come back to full fitness, who can replace Zielinski properly, then we will have someone that can bring a bit of creativity into this team. The only problem that I see with that is that what happens when you need to substitute him off, because at some point, even if he can't start, he's not going to play 90 minutes, or at some point you have to make a substitution anyways, you know, maybe you go to extra time or whatever. Who do we have that is similar to Traoré on the team that could come on? The fact that you have Zielinski out of the Champions League squad, that's a huge problem. We also saw that Barcelona are very vulnerable when pressed. I think having Christensen as their defensive midfielder was not a good idea. You could tell that he is an adapted center back. He's not as comfortable as, for example, the likes of De Jong with the ball. Napoli should have done more to press them. Also should have done more to press some of their center backs. These are not center backs that are that good playing ball at the feet. You could tell that they really struggled and they relied on De Jong coming deep to save them a lot. And when De Jong was pressed, he drew a lot of fouls, but a lot of the time it was 50-50. If we had done that a lot more times, maybe one or two of those would have gone our way and we would have countered them from then, from an attacking position. I think this is something that Napoli needs to do in the second leg against Barcelona. And you know that if you can hit them first, then they will crumble. Because Barcelona, after conceding the goal from Napoli, they went through 10-15 minutes or 10 minutes where they really crumbled. And I think that's when Napoli should have attacked them. Napoli had something like 5-6 corners in that period, a bit more chances, a bit more of the ball in the final third. Barcelona really did not know how to take the hit, and they've proven that that's something that happens to them this season, as opposed to Napoli, for example, that when they concede a goal, they react. So many times this year, we have reacted to conceding a goal, whether that be with Garcia when we came from 2-0 down to 2-2 with Milan, whether that be with Mazzarri, that we managed to get a few late goals, a few late draws, or now with Calzona, where you concede a goal to Barcelona and you score in the next 10 minutes. This is a team that, unlike Barcelona, can react. Whereas Barcelona showed me once again this season that they do not know how to react. They took a very long time. Yeah, they showed something in the last 4 minutes of extra time, but really that wasn't enough. So Napoli, if we can get a first goal against Barcelona, they will crumble. I don't think that Barcelona would be able to react. So it's super important, I think, for the return leg that we go and attack them. On the left wing, instead, Olivas showed why 3 different managers this season have always picked him as their preferred left back in their first game in charge. Both Garcia and Mazzarri and now Calzona have always picked Olivera ahead of Mairerui for the first game in charge. Obviously, Mairerui is a great player, but you could tell that I think this year he's gone down a level. These Champions League games, maybe the intensity is a bit too much for him. He is, though, a very technical player. I think Kvara prefers playing with someone like Mairerui. He can exchange the ball a bit better with him. I think also a guy like Osimhen prefers Mairerui because he can whip in some better crosses. But just from a defensive point of view, when you are up against Champions League level teams, they usually have very good strikers. I think having someone that is a bit taller, is a bit more physical, can actually last 90 minutes and doesn't force you into making a substitution on the 70th minute mark in that position, I think that's super crucial. And so I think we will be seeing Olivera again at the Camp Nou. As we said, in the live, Rachmani quite poor. Having said that, now that I look back on it, the fact that he stepped into out of position, out of line to try to put pressure on Pedri, that's simply because our midfield was not covering that Barcelona number 10 position. Again, as we said, Pedri moving from left wing to the number 10 caused a lot of problems for Napoli, and we didn't really have the mechanism between the defenders and the midfielders to cope with that, forcing Rachmani out of position. But you still have to put blame on Rachmani, because that also happened on the other side of the field with Yamal. But whenever Yamal used to cut inside, actually Juan Jesus was right on him. He was very much alert, and he got the ball a lot of times. When he couldn't get the ball, he got the man, but in a way that wasn't enough to trigger a yellow card. So you show your experience there, because you go in, maybe you get a bit of the man, but you also get a bit of the ball, and it's not that aggressive of a tackle. That's good. That stops Barcelona. Or you maybe recover the ball at times like he had, and you can go and attack them. But instead, Rachmani, whenever he steps out, not just in this game, but we saw it against Genoa and other times. I have the receipts, guys. I tweet this all the time. Rachmani, when he steps forward maybe a second too late. It gives the player just enough time to pull a pass in the space that he left behind. Talking about stepping up, down, left and right, Meret stepped up a lot in this game. He showed that it was good to trust him over Golini. Not saying that Golini wouldn't have made those saves or wouldn't have made a good performance, but Meret really kept us in the game in the first 20 minutes. And it's thanks to him really that the score was 0-0 at halftime. Guys, the team showed that they do believe in Calzona, and the great thing about Calzona is that he is a coach that I think wants to go out and win games, because we ended up in the second half in a more attacking formation than we were in the first half, showing that when he smelled the blood that Barcelona had, that they were vulnerable, he went and tried to win the game, because we ended up with the front three, different players, but still a front three of attacking players, plus Traoré in the midfield, who is more of an attacking midfielder than Cayuste. So the team was a bit more attacking than the first half. In terms of the press conference, guys, I want to start off with Anguissa. He said that it was a great result for Napoli, one that now we can take to the Camp Nou and try to win the game there. He said that Calzona came into this team and he said very simple things to us. He didn't try to overload us with lots of complicated things, didn't try to make our life very difficult. He said, guys, I just want you guys to be a team, to believe in your abilities, and to be a team, to fight for each other, defend for each other. And he told the team, look, I'm going to be using each and every single one of you. And Anguissa said today, with the way that we won, or the way that we drew the game as well, we really believe in that message, because at the end of the day, guys like Traoré, Lindstrom coming on, they made the difference for Napoli. They linked up well for that Osimhen goal. They actually showed that when they were on the field, they did a slightly better job. Napoli was better as a team than in the first half when the starters were there. And so the players themselves start to believe that they do have a team capable of winning, and that we don't just need to rely on Kvara and Osimhen, that actually all of them are valued. And I get it, guys. Those two players are the best players. They're always going to be the best players at Napoli. But this is a team sport. These two players can only reach their maximum potential if the entire team feels valued. Just like last year. When last year the entire team felt valued, that's when they all stepped up individually. Also because it raises the level in the training sessions and all that. It boosts confidence and morale. You walk into the field as a team much better, and also they receive better passes. They have a better team to work with. So it's a positive thing that Calzona sees each and every single one of them as equal, in my opinion. And that he will judge players based on how they're playing at that moment in that game, rather than on the name behind the jersey. And it's something that he said specifically in the press conference. And again, in the press conference, he also said how he needs to work with this team on a tactical level, that they've changed a lot of formations in recent months, that there was a bit of confusion, and that he needs to really work on the positioning of the players, how they receive the ball, how they link up with each other. But that's something that he's identified that he will work on. He's promised to work on that, and it's already much better than what Mazzarri was saying in his press conferences, where he was not giving any insights into tactically how this team could improve. Calzona has a very clear idea how this team can improve. So again, I see this Napoli team as being here, and in 3 weeks, I do hope and think that they can make a step up. Whether that step up will be enough to beat Barcelona, we don't know at this moment in time. But I do think that we have a higher potential than Barcelona in terms of improvement from this position. I do think it will be a tough game. Barcelona's at home. But if Napoli, again, can get the first goal, I honestly do think Barcelona will crumble. And then obviously you have to try not to concede, because then if you concede a goal, the atmosphere will start to take over, the momentum will take over. But yeah, if you can get that one goal, I think it's much more likely that you go and get a second, even a third, than Barcelona coming back and replying to you, because they've shown to us this season and against Napoli that they are not a team that reacts well to conceding a goal. Anyways, guys, that is everything from me. Hope you guys are gonna have a great rest of the week, and as always, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.